Good morning. Welcome into another SBR show, three-man week college basketball preview in the mornings here. That's right. It's our show hosted by SBR. We are ready to talk the slate today on this fine Thursday. I am Jim Ruth. I'm joined by Ky McKeon and Matt Cox. Boys, before I get to you, though, let's give a shout out to our friends at SBR. Make sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like this video. Subscribe to youtube.com/SBR Sports. And make sure I had the audio coming in through my ear of the video, so that was a little.
That's a nightmare.
Threw me off. Threw me off, guys.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
We're bouncing back though. It's okay. Make sure to head over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAB, the URL at the top of the screen. Lots of valuable information there, and of course the SBR odds page. Line compare. Make sure to line shop. Find the best value out there for your picks. All right, guys. Let's talk last night. It was a wild one indeed in the college hoops world. Ky, I'm going to go to you first. What did you see last night?
Jim, I'm going to talk about the Dogs because they were barking yesterday. A ton of outright winners. In fact, 17 outright winners yesterday from the Dogs. Huge game. I think we've seen maybe just one or two days like that in the past this season that I can remember off the top of my head. But highlights, NC State beating Virginia. Huge win for them, obviously. Ball State started us off nice in the afternoon. Marquette, a very surprising win outright against North Carolina. And Providence helped out our buddy Matt with the best bet. Lots of interesting results yesterday. Lots of dogs barking, Jim. Hey, sometimes those days happen, Matt. Sometimes the Dogs' day is what it is.
Oh, very cute. I see how
I
that's
could have done it better. Could have tied it up better.
My takeaway, Ky, is more of a double click into what you're talking about. Three teams are sort of microcosms of this broader theme that I think is starting to emerge, but I may be rushing to conclusions based on small sample size theater. Always a perilous trap you have to watch out for.
Yes.
St. Joseph, Western Carolina, and Lamar. Three teams that their season have been pretty much ravaged by injuries. There's really little to no hope for what they can accomplish postseason. But all three got it done last night, played very good basketball. The common denominator is that they have big key guys back. Ryan Daly has really been the impetus for the Hawks. Mason Faulkner, with an annoying surprise appearance off the bench last night, was completely dominant in the first half. And Lamar, I believe, is close to finally healthy. I haven't checked the actual box score there yet, but a team that's had guys in and out of the rotation.
Bennett's still out, Matthew.
Bennett's still out. Close. But they had more guys out throughout the course of the season. The last few they've been, they've had Buster and Jefferson and Jefferson, some of those key guys in there. I think there's just this theme emerging, Ky, of teams that are really bad. There's some that have given up on the season, but others that are more likely to keep punching and biting and being feisty as pups, especially ones that have key guys back as sort of that rejuvenation jolt type factor.
Yeah, I think to the inverse of that too, Matt, is teams look at, like if you're Dayton or you're UNC Greensboro, we're playing this team that's been beat up and has probably given up, and they take them lightly, and those teams with full strength or more players can battle. Just in light of the dog dominance, I thought it made a performance like Creighton's even more impressive, just blowing out DePaul from start to finish. And also, shout out to Clemson for their first road cover of the season. That's big. Even if it's not a huge win, it strengthens the resume to have a road win on their schedule like that. So, all right, let's move into today's slate, guys. There are some big ones. We've got some great matchups to discuss. Starting in the Big Ten, Iowa at Michigan. The Wolverines are at -5 now, bet up from an opener of -3.5. So people are liking the Wolverines after their big performance on Sunday. High total, 156, not surprising in a Michigan game. Big-time big man battle here, Ky. The Dickinson versus Garza showdown is going to be great to watch in the paint. What do you have your eye on in this one?
Yeah, marquee matchup. 3-4 in KenPom. Obviously a game we're all anticipating. I have to say the steam, I think, is going the right way here. 5 points, maybe a little bit too high, almost. If it got to 6, I'd think about stepping on Iowa. Michigan, though, at home this year has been excellent. Overall, they've been excellent. But a plus 4.8 cover margin at home, 8-3 against the spread. Iowa not as good on the road. They're 4-4 against the spread. Iowa's offense can score against anybody. Plain and simple. Michigan, though, they have the defense to maybe slow down Garza a bit, especially in the paint. On the perimeter, I'm less sure with Dickinson. On the other end, Matt, I just don't think Iowa can stop Michigan. If you take away Dickinson, you still are left with the perimeter players like Wagner and Livers who can cause them a lot of issues. So I do lean towards Michigan. If the spread gets too high again, I won't be afraid to step in on Iowa, maybe around 6 or so if it gets that high.
Yeah, I mentioned this at our podcast last night, so this will sound redundant for both of you, but Iowa's last 3 games, I thought their defense has been better. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's been really good or great, because that's nothing. That's never the case with Iowa, right? Their defense just has to be good enough to sustain their elite, high-octane offense. Teams' last 3 games, 39%, 22%, 38% field goal percentage inside the arc. I think that's a good barometer of overall defensive effectiveness. If you can kind of keep teams from scoring well inside the arc, pack the paint, maybe you make Michigan to make 14 threes tonight. I think that's a good strategy for Iowa if they can maintain that. I lean Michigan on a value play, but I just want to tip my cap and pay some respect to Iowa, who appears to be defending at a slightly better level.
Yeah, I made this exactly 5, so I have absolutely 0 numerical value on this one. A slight lean to Michigan just because I think they're better. I think they're better coached, but Iowa's been great lately. I will shout out CJ Frederick with him in the lineup. They're just a better team.
He's better.
It matters. Yep. Even if you don't like the box score numbers that he puts up, he is essential for what they do. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep on moving down the outline here. Let's head to the Pac-12. USC at Colorado. Another great battle in the paint here with the Mobley brothers going up against Evan Batty and Dallas Watson. Colorado's been bet up a little bit. It's at -3, started at -2. Makes a little bit of sense. Tough schedule spot for USC, having just wiped out Oregon on Monday. Now they have to go to altitude. Might get Jabari Walker back for Colorado, and we're not positive on the status of Isaiah Mobley for USC. We're expecting he plays, Matt, but we don't know for sure. He was a surprise late scratch on Monday. Do you think this team is right with USC heading on the road to altitude and short rest?
Yeah, I like Colorado here. I did take them small. It seems like I'm disrespecting USC. I'm trying not to. I think I've paid credence multiple times on this program to the job Andy Enfeld's done this season with that collection of talent. Obviously the Isaiah Mobley thing was big last game. You have to know if he's in there for sure. I can't really endorse this side strongly here, Ky, but I certainly would lean Colorado just based on the spot and the fact that they do have enough size up front to combat the trees that USC will throw out there.
Yeah, I thought I'd be on Colorado. This spread was actually higher than I expected, up to 3 now. We've been fading USC a lot. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I think we saw a truer USC against Arizona, the game they lost, and against Oregon, which, again, we talked about last night on our podcast. The Ducks just looked, frankly, just scared in that game. I don't think that's going to be the case with Colorado, especially at home. 6-3 against the spread at home. They haven't been home since February 8th. I'm sure they're excited to get back there. Excellent in altitude, obviously. They won the first game by 10, and they dominated the Trojans the entire way. They did not trail one time in that game, shot well from the free throw line. In a spread like this, -3, I do lean towards Colorado, Jim, just a little bit too high for me to take.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I definitely lean Colorado here. I think they, as long as Tajidi isn't a fireball from the opening tip like he was against Oregon, that just set the tone. A quick 9-0 lead that shell-shocked Oregon. Like you said, they were terrified driving in. Every time they shot the ball, it was like a quick flip. Like they wouldn't take an actual shot because they were scared of Evan Mobley just swatting them into oblivion. And honestly, I probably would be too, but I'm not a Division I basketball player. So, I lean to pick one. Matt, we'll go back to the Big Ten here. Ohio State at Michigan State. Man, another number 1 seed lurking with the Buckeyes. But Michigan State's playing a lot better lately. They're surging. One of the many blue bloods that seems to be playing better right now.
Yep.
The total's been steamed down from 149 to 145. So people definitely believing a little bit in the Spartan defense raising up and making a statement, because that Ohio State offense can score. So I'm a little surprised by that. But Matt, I will just say this: the quartet for Michigan State of Henry, Brown, Watts, and Langford.
Yep.
They've really been showing out. They started together. They're the only guys on the team that played over 14 minutes in that big win against Illinois. It's clearly the core that Izzo is relying on. Do you think they can get another huge win for their tourney resume tonight?
Man, I won't go outright win prediction, but I just think the number just shows how good Michigan State's been, right? I think the odds makers respect Michigan State. We've talked about how there's been a lot of steam, money coming on the Spartans the last couple of weeks, sort of foreshadowing this turnaround. A turnaround that we've seen Izzo procure the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? Izzo in March. No, it's not March, but it's getting close. And I think we're starting to see the upswing. And it's nice to see guys like Josh Langford. Remember, he's good at basketball, Kai. So I do think this Spartan turnaround is real. I don't think it's it's no Fugazi like we thought we saw earlier in the season when they had a couple of nice efforts in a row. This team is starting to really play better, and I'm a little bit nervous having an Ohio State backer here.
Yeah, we were hoping this Michigan State turnaround would come way earlier. We expected it way earlier. It appears that it's coming now. Like I said, guys, several times on this show, podcast before, Michigan State can play its way into the tournament still. They have a lot of high value games coming up here with Ohio State and others. I think the spread's a little bit too low for me to take Michigan State. -4 seems like it's almost like people are buying into it a little bit too much. But they did lose by 17 that first game in Ohio State. Gabe Brown was out. They're healthy now. That's probably on their mind. Now they're at home. It's not the worst spot in the world for Sparty, a team that's really firing on all cylinders. Yeah. It's just a little bit too low for me, Jim. I actually almost lean towards Ohio State at -4.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who guards EJ Liddell. The Michigan State bigs don't impress me. They basically just have a rotating cast of characters that all play 10 minutes a game. I'm not sure there's anyone versatile enough and strong enough to be able to stand up to him. So that's big. That gets the defense moving, opens up shots for Washington and Justin Arns. Slightly into Ohio State, but I am staying away because of the way the Spartans have been playing. It is possible that they're going on this run. The talent is there. So it's not just a totally fake type of thing, I don't think. All right, let's go back to the Pac-12. Ky, I'm gonna go to you first on this one. We're going to rotate the Big Ten into the Pac-12. Oregon at Stanford. Obviously, the other team that played on Monday, the other half of that USC-Oregon matchup. Stanford, a -1 home favorite, very slight favorite say at Maples Pavilion here. Oregon's really frustrated this last two games, Ky. They did not cover at home against Utah, got whipped by USC on the road. Do you think they play a little better against a similarly tough interior defense with the Cardinal?
Yeah, I'm still a believer in Oregon. Oregon was unprepared, scared, deflated against USC. They need this road win. The tournament, their tournament hopes are squarely on the bubble. This would be a huge win at Stanford. On the flip side, of course, Stanford's in major trouble. They just lost to Washington State without Bonton. That's bad. Oregon won this first game by 17 without Will Richardson. Stanford couldn't hit shots, but they also turned it over 19 times, and I expect that to continue in this game. I think Oregon's going to force a lot of turnovers in this one. They're number one in the Pac-12, Matt, in turnover rate on defense. So, yeah, I think Stanford struggles in this one. I do lean towards Oregon getting it back on track after that USC loss.
Yeah, I do too. I like the Ducks here a little bit. Nothing super confident. Just I probably have the shook images of Duarte and Figueroa trying to score over the trees against USC. It's burned in my brain. Stanford has length as well, but not to the degree that USC will trot out, right? It's more interchangeable positionless wings that they can switch. It's not exactly the overwhelming trees up front. So it'll look a little bit different from a defensive front perspective. I actually kind of like the under here. I think both teams struggle to score. You mentioned the turnover issues for Stanford. We know their ball handlers are not the most secure, especially with Davis and Will's back in the mix there. As good as they are defensively, certainly can be liabilities on offense at times, Jim.
Yeah, it definitely helps to have some time to prep for these tricky Oregon zones. Stanford's been off since Saturday. So, and obviously they're coming off that 3 overtime crazy game, lost to Washington State where Noah Williams went for 42, I believe was his final tally in that one.
Nuclear.
So, yep. I think they'll be locked in. They're right on. They're pretty close to the bubble cut line right now. So they definitely need victories. All right, let's go to our first chat mob break. Before we do, make sure to hit that like button, folks. Subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate that. We're going to hit your questions now, so make sure to get back with just a simple click of the like button. Matt, are you my czar here?
I can't be your czar. I'll go off the cuff. Cameron Wishnowski, Murray State versus Jacksonville State. A couple of questions earlier about this, asking why this spread is +3.5. Ky, any take on this one? This is a rematch of a game that Jack State beat Murray State earlier in the season. Do you think there's some revenge for the Racers?
The spread's 3.5 because spreads are not based on one result of one game. They are based on
important
bodies of work. They're based on what teams have done during the season, not just in one game, not in just one matchup. Having said that, it's hard to back Murray State just the way they've been playing this year. They've been very inconsistent. I feel more confident in Jacksonville State giving a consistent effort. However, 3.5 is just a little bit too low for me in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm no play for me on this one. Jonathan B and a few others asked about Oregon State versus Cal. I believe we have one of us. I want to say Jim has some action in this one. Where do you stand here?
I do not want any action in this one, Matt. You don't have to lead into that. I prefer Cal probably, but I'm not going to take them here.
No, you're dying to bet Fatty Matty Rally, baby. You're excited about it. You're geeked.
Hard to trust them after that terrible road trip they just went on to Washington schools. So yeah, I'm not really jazzed, but I do think they play better at home. They've had much better results. I think covered their last two at home. And Oregon State maybe playing a little bit above its head, but not something I'm going to back here.
All right, Kai, I'm going back to you for some action, single A action. Ohio nice. Hosting Eastern Michigan. Question coming in from Hoop Mixtape 91. I don't actually have my Hoop Mixtape up on YouTube yet. I need to get that uploaded, though, so I'll probably have to collab with you after the show. Kai, Ohio, pretty damn impressive effort out of COVID sans Jason Preston and Dwight Wilson. One of the few efforts we've seen from teams coming out of that pause, completely dominating Akron. Eastern Michigan did not look as great out of their pause, although they did hang with Kent State for a little bit. What say you in this matchup?
Yeah, insane shooting from Ohio in that game against Akron, just from everywhere on the floor. I'm curious to see if Preston and Wilson are still out. I haven't heard one way or the other. If they're out, I'd lean towards Eastern Michigan. This spread has come down a little bit. I'm kind of glad because I didn't want to bet on Eastern Michigan. They're one of those teams that I think might just be super bad and maybe kind of giving up on the year.
Yeah. Yep. Jim, I'm going out west in your turf here. Utah versus UCLA. Question coming in from DeAndre Gilliam. Utah playing host here. The Bruins have been weird. We've talked about how much they've had to really change their identity without Jalen Hill and Cody Riley at their fullest potential. Cody Riley, I believe, is the one out with personal issues. Jalen Hill's the one with ankle problems, has not been the same guy. Jim, anything you think Utah can exploit should be a size mismatch up front?
Potentially. I do think they also play better at home. This is the altitude trip. UCLA did not have to play on Monday, though, like USC did, their counterpart. Yeah, I lean towards Utah. Matt, you also didn't bring up Chris Smith, who's been out for extended time. Yeah. So UCLA is just really reeling in the front court depth department. So yeah, I lean towards Utah, but nothing too strong.
I'm seeing an Eastern Illinois inquiry. I think we're going to save that. It'll be holstered for best bet section. Stay tuned on that one. One more here. We'll get back to the outline. UT Martin versus SIUE. Man, we love to talk about the Ohio Valley on this program. Kai, I think program. Kai, we don't like UT Martin. I think they're one of those teams we'd classify as a bad OVC team. SIUE we thought was in that group. I don't know. They've been kind of erratic lately. I can't put my finger on this squad. They've had some guys in and out of the rotation. I thought they were waving the white flag. Yep. And they've put together a couple of good games. What say you in this one?
Initially, during SIUE's crazy schedule run, I was auto-fade SIUE. Then it was, okay, pick your spots against actual good teams against SIUE because they're still competent. This is an example of a bad team where I would not fade the SIUE schedule spot. I would either take SIUE at -5 or I would not take anything at all in this game.
Yeah, and they're still. I mean, they had 2 days off, but they're still they haven't had more than right. They haven't had 3 days off. I don't think in over a month or so. So brutal schedule. We'll go back to the outline here. I'll round up the rest of them.
Alrighty, let's do it. Back to the outline. We're going to head out west for a massive showdown in the Mountain West, guys. Boise State at San Diego State. Two teams that are sitting about the 8 or 9 lines in bracket matrix. So maybe not quite right on the cut line, but could both be well served by getting a victory here. San Diego State -7, although it's come down a little bit. I'm surprised this is so high. San Diego State is legitimate. They're a good team, but they've mostly been inflated by blowing out bad teams. They're only 1-3 against the other top Mountain West teams, Utah State and Colorado State. They're also 0-2 against the spread at home against Nevada, which seems like a very similar comp to this particular game. But I do think the pack line defense could give Boise State's isolation scores a bit of problem here. Yeah. Kai, what do you like in this one?
Yeah, battle for first place in the Mountain West. I think people forget how good San Diego State is. Their COVID shutdown kind of took them out of the public for a little bit. They're the best team in this league, in my opinion. And it's full stop. They're 19th in KenPom. Next highest is 53 in this league. At Utah State, Boise's 55. It's a tough place to play at San Diego State. Even in COVID times, San Diego State's very good at home. This spread is high, though. I liked 7 for Boise, 6.5. I'd probably wait till Saturday to see what happens in leg 1. Probably take Boise in leg 2 because they do have the best ball handling in the league. Against a defense that's number 1 in turnover rate. There's certainly an advantage to stopping San Diego State's pressure from that angle. However, I'm a little bit too scared, Matthew, to bet against San Diego State at home in a game they definitely need, considering their resume lacking quality 1 wins.
Yeah, I'm taking Boise here, Kai. This will be my official best bet. I'll just spoil it right now. Even at 6.5, if you have 6.5 showing, I would advise buying the hook to 7. but I do like it at 7 minus 120 if that's available. I just think in terms of just athleticism, these teams are basically the same. There's really no lean or advantage to San Diego State. I think Boise State trots out massive length and speed at all 5 positions. The weakness for the Broncos is interior defense. I don't think San Diego State's equipped to really exploit that. Nathan Menza is more of a defensive specialist. He's not a guy that you can throw it in there and he can dominate on the block. I think they have multiple good matchups to throw at Matt Mitchell. You can shut down Mitchell. I think you can make San Diego State's offense look awfully disjointed, Jim. So give me the Broncos. Best bet.
Yeah, I'm a little worried, like I said, that they could look disjointed against that pack line SD just because it's a lot of dribble drive isolation. But Boise State can hit jump shots. So if they're hot, then they can definitely score points in this one because San Diego State gives up a ton of threes in their system. All right, let's go to a big battle in the OVC, Matt. Like you said, on this program, we love to talk this conference. We got to hit Belmont at Eastern Kentucky. Belmont, the absolute runaway dominant force in this league, have yet to lose a conference game. Now they go to EKU, a pressing squad, a team that's going to run with them, which explains the high total, 160.5. Guys, I just got to say, Belmont's won 11 straight against EKU. They've covered 5 of the last 6. So with A.W. Hamilton there, they've still really controlled this particular matchup. I'll go to you first, Matt. Do you see them continuing their dominance against EKU?
Yeah, they have elite ball handlers. Jim Grayson Murphy, Jacoby Wood, the freshman's really matured in a hurry. They're not going to be bothered by the pressure. If you can just basically get past the first wave of pressure Eastern Kentucky throws at you, you can withstand some of their hot shooting spurts and their offensive rebounding. You can really control this team. It's a very talented team. I think we have to give credit to what A.W. Hamilton's done this year, but Belmont's just in a different class, I think. And I think they're on a mission to come out and continue to prove that they are the alpha dog in this conference. I like Belmont here, Ky, even at a pretty high number.
It's just such a different class, right, in the OVC here. I mean, Belmont's on a whole different tier. Than EKU's third in the league. Belmont's 18-0 in conference play. They're looking to go undefeated. They have motivation to do that. A bit of a tight schedule for EKU, 11th game in 25 days. A lot of OVC teams are kind of facing this right now. I agree, Matt. I just don't think Belmont's going to be fazed by EKU's pressure. They're the best ball handling team in this conference. If you try to run with Belmont, I think you're in big trouble. That's what EKU does. That's why the total is so high, like Jim said. So I do lean towards Belmont in a game that should be plenty of points.
Yeah, the tough little schedule end here for Belmont with at Eastern Kentucky, this up and down pressing team, and then Saturday, real quick turnaround, they go to Moorhead, who's the half court suffocate switching type of defense. So it's tricky for them, but I trust this team. I watch them. I like the way they play. They've got multiple ball handlers with Jacoby Wood joining Grayson Murphy in the backcourt. So yeah, it's a Belmont lean for me, but not an official bet at 7.5. It's been bet up a little bit. No. All right. One more game on the outline, then we'll get back to the chat mob. Western Kentucky at Houston. Guys, this one's a little bit reminiscent of that strange Marquette at North Carolina game yesterday. Sorry, Ky. I don't mean to bring up any salt in the wound here, but just this odd non-conference game in late February. SMU on COVID pause, so Houston wanted a game, and Western Kentucky, happy to oblige a team that really wants to build its at-large resume. This has been bet down 12.5 to 11.5. I agree with that move, guys, to be honest. Western Kentucky, a very feisty team with a ton of talent. We said at the beginning of the year in that the tournament, the Crossover Classic in Sioux Falls, that they play to competition. They've got the talent to play and compete here. Matt, is that the way you're leaning? It sounds like it.
Yeah, I made it 9, and I think I've given Houston a ton of respect. I gave another bump up in my ratings when Fabian White came back and showed out in a big way. So I'm not worried about me disrespecting Houston like I've sort of been with my Boise State versus San Diego State fade. Western Kentucky as a dog against a team that's in their talent crop, I love that bet. Right? Usually we're frustrated betting Western Kentucky as favorites against the middle of the meddling CUSA teams when sometimes they don't really look motivated or engaged. They'll be engaged with this one because they get this win, they're dancing. Obviously, it's a big number, Ky, so I think I would take anything 11 or above.
I don't know when the last time they've been a double-digit dog is.
Right.
It's not this season, I don't think. Certainly been a while.
Might have been versus West Virginia on a neutral court. I'm not positive.
They competed in that game. Memphis, they competed. I mean, we've seen them play with this caliber of talent, I guess.
In general, I just love these mid-major matchups. Like bring back bracket busters. They're awesome. They give teams chances for quality wins, and they give us fun matchups like this one. I think Charles Bassey is going to present a new sort of animal for Houston. He's going to compete on the glass with Houston, who's the best offensive rebounding team in the country. I am a little bit worried about Western Kentucky defending Houston's perimeter, which is kind of where the Cougars have been just excellent this season. They've been a really good offensive team as well as a stifling defensive one. But I agree, this feels like too many points. So I am leaning towards the Toppers as well.
Yeah, it's just on the number, a little bit of a lean here. I made it 10.5, so not anything with great value, but it's just kind of like a situational too, where I think WKU plays well as a big dog, competes. Maybe Houston is not quite as engaged. Look what happened to North Carolina as that big home favorite in a strange non-conference game. So, yep, a little lean to Western Kentucky. Nothing official. Keeping it small on the slate today, guys. Let's get to best bets. Matt, I know you gave yours already, but just reiterate that and any other show picks for the people.
Yeah, so Boise 6.5 is what we'll post on the Twitter tweets. But again, if you have 6.5, please buy the hook to 7. I think that may come into play. And I'll go ahead and add Western Kentucky off the hip here. I think 11.5 is too many points. Like they defend here, they keep Houston, in the mid 60s, maybe high 60s, and they keep it close. So I'll make 2 dogs for me. I'll ride the dog bonanza from last night, Ky.
Attaboy.
Well, I'll throw another dog on your pile, Matthew. It's a very low volume day for me in general, so it was tough deciphering which best bet to go with. I'm going to go with San Francisco, plus 10 at BYU, hoping the Dons hit shots, because that's the only way they're covering this game. Their interior has been lacking lately, especially against a BYU team that's been very heavy on the front court this season, especially with the addition of Matt Harms. San Fran led BYU by 10. Early in the game, their first matchup, they actually led at half. The wheels just kind of fell off the last 10 minutes or so, ended up losing by 9. I'm hoping they can keep this one close enough once again to end up losing by single digits, Jim. So San Francisco plus 10.
Yeah, I lean that way too. I'm hesitant. I don't know if my San Francisco rating is great. After their COVID pause, they've been bad. So I'm a little bit concerned. The last 3 games, not too sharp. But it's a talented team. It's a well-coached team. They should be able to hopefully play with a challenger like BYU. So lean your way. Hopefully you have the winner. My best bet today is a team I bet on Saturday, and a team I think we all kind of like at this point in the season, Eastern Illinois. Minus 5.5 at home against Southeast Missouri State. I still think they're undervalued in the market just because of the crazy injuries they had early on this season. I said it on Saturday. They had used 19 starting lineups through 24 games, just a laughable number. And when they were mega shorthanded, they lost to the SEMO team by 31. Just got completely destroyed. They were missing like 5 of their best 6 players. Now that most of those guys are back, I think a veteran EIU team exacts some revenge at home, plays much better. I will take them as a mid-sized favorite here. EIU minus 5.5.
Love that. I should join, Jim. Something about EIU as a favorite doesn't quite give me the warm and fuzzies, but I should join you. I'm sorry.
Fair. Well, no, you don't have to. Let's go back to Chat Mob. I know there's been more questions coming in, so let's hit whatever we can here, guys.
Yeah, let's hit some action. Miami of Ohio, Western Michigan. The race for 8th place in the conference is on. So just for context, the top 8 of the 12 teams in the MAC qualify for the MAC tournament this year. We have Western Michigan sitting at 3-9. I think they're pretty much solidified below the Mendoza line. Miami of Ohio off 2 straight really impressive wins. They're now at 7-7. I think they're in. So no motivational edge from that angle as I talked through that, Ky. Yeah. But you've been on Miami of Ohio recently. So are you going to keep riding that?
I was trying to think. I was like, wait, Western Michigan.
Wait, it's already decided. Right? Yeah, I was looking at the wrong records here. Yeah, no, you're good.
Yes, just like Eastern Michigan, I think Western Michigan's done this season. I just think they've thrown in the towel. So I'm going to be leaning towards Miami of Ohio in this game.
Yeah, it's opened 4 up to 6.5. So I think the value is largely eaten up here. After my fun best bet on them in their last game, I'm not going to be going back to the well, unfortunately.
Let's do a quick rapid fire here on the Horizon tournament, which kicks off today. Jim, you previewed this for our website. A lot of folks ask about IUPUI Milwaukee and Detroit versus Robert Morris. Either one of those two jumping out at you?
Man, Detroit has they blitzed Robert Morris twice to end the regular season. Now they play them again. Maybe you get a bigger effort from RMU with their backs against the wall, the season possibly ending. But I just think Detroit's in a different class. They're much better. I would lean towards the Titans.
Yeah, a question with IUPUI is how hot is Marcus Burke and Jalen Minnick going to be? It seems like every time we bet against them, it's when they go off for 35. If you're a Milwaukee backer, you're hoping Pat Baldwin can figure out that they have 2 players, and you just need to guard them. It's really not that difficult. I have no take on Detroit Robert Morris. I just can't believe how talented Detroit is. I think it's awesome to see Antoine Davis surging back to life.
Got Noah Waterman eligible, and that's been huge for them.
Yes, sir. Stretch big from Niagara. The other two here, Green Bay versus Youngstown, I believe. Is that right? No, Green Bay versus Purdue Fort Wayne. Ky, I know you're bold enough to back Fort Wayne late in the year in that first leg against Cleveland State, and it played very well.
No, I didn't actually. I didn't back them. I backed them.
Stayed away.
I backed them in a different game. Stayed away from Cleveland State. Ended up being the wrong decision. I lean Green Bay. The spread feels a little high at 5.5, but I think they're the better team. Purdue Fort Wayne, though, I will say this: with the ability that they have to shoot the ball, they have like this strange Cinderella capability, I think, in the horizon to actually make a run. Good guards, good shooting can take you a long way in these weird conference tournaments.
Green Bay kicked their butt twice this season, so maybe there's hard to beat a team 3 times. We'll see.
Yeah, Jared Goffrey, kind of your point, is a guy that can be the best player on the floor in any game in this conference tournament. So you have the potential for a special run there with the Mastodons. The last one, Youngstown State hosting Illinois Chicago. Jim, I feel bad going to you on an Illinois Chicago take. I know you've been as frustrated as anyone with this team so far. Any sort of bite back and what seems like a reset button for their season, or no?
No, I don't think so. I picked this upset on our website in our preview, but I don't think they're actually going to win. This is a bad team. They don't have an offensive threat. Tavion Kirk is so erratic, and their defense has not been as good as we thought a Yaklich team would be. So I don't think they get the upset outright win, but maybe they can cover here.
How about extra board action here? Swaction, Ky. Request to talk about Texas Southern versus Arkansas Pine Bluff. I believe Pine Bluff's been mathematically eliminated from the conference tournament. Top 8 make it of the top 10. So kind of back to that Miami versus Western Michigan angle. Do you think Pine Bluff's waving the white flag?
I have a hard time betting against Texas Southern or Prairie View A&M in the SWAC. So I either take the favorite or I don't bet it. And that's going to be my answer for today.
Noted. Actually, Pine Bluff does have a chance to squeak in there, so I just want to make sure I correct myself there. Let's do some Big Sky discussion here. Northern Colorado against Porta Potty State, as we used to call them, given our frustration with losing bets on them to start the year. Jim, you found some good nuggets on this game. Northern Colorado off of a shutdown, could be shorthanded here. What's your angle?
Yeah, I don't know how you trust Northern Colorado here. They're without Bodie Hume and Trayshawn Smoots, 2 key players. Hume is arguably their best player. They had a little D2 tune-up game after their shutdown, and those 2 were both out. Now you got to face pressure right away. That's a little nerve-wracking. Although Portland State, maybe they're not accustomed to doing that pressure at altitude, but nothing here. I don't know what to expect with A, the lineup for Northern Colorado, and B, coming off shutdown.
Yep, another Big Sky showdown here. Montana on the road at Idaho State. Ky, Montana is a team that I think we're a little bit skeptical that they are interested in playing right now at another late season transfer on top of the exodus that started in the off season. They showed some fight occasionally at spurts against Eastern Washington, a team that's playing like the Golden State Warriors right now on offense. I'm inclined to think that the Grizzlies could be competitive here in this series. It's an awfully short spread against an Idaho State team that I'm just not a big fan of.
Depends how motivated they are. Yeah, without Michael Stedman, who transferred away from Montana, they haven't been as good, but they've only played EWASH, so kind of hard to measure. Yeah. Idaho State's not a pushover. They're well coached. They will compete. The spread, though, I mean, if you just look at it from a macro perspective, yeah, this is incredibly low for Montana and Idaho State. I'm staying clear away.
One more here. We're going out west. WCC, St. Mary's at Pacific. I believe I'm looking at the historical matchups right now. I believe Pacific has given St. Mary's some problems in the past. They're a deep athletic team that come at you with waves of bodies. And this St. Mary's team, as well coached as they are, just a clear drop-off in talent and athleticism from years past. Jim, do you think there's any way they cover that pretty big spread at 7?
It feels too big for them to cover. Yeah, they're a lot of low-scoring game, and they do a lot of ball screen stuff that Pacific can switch and I think bother them with. So I would certainly lean towards Pacific there.
Yeah, it got bet down to 6. I think I would actually maybe add a late play on Pacific. It was still at 7, but per SPRodds.com, it is 6 across the board. So I see no other questions in the chat mob. If I missed any, please chime in, fellas. But
I saw our boy Ashok asked about Minnesota, home Minnesota. Do they
home Minnesota?
Big one against big bounce back against Northwestern. It's a low line, Ky, but I think it reflects the injuries that Minnesota is dealing with.
Well, it's dangling fruit, Jim. -4.5. That seems automatic, but we've been reading today that Marcus Carr might not be fully healthy. In addition to Liam Robbins, in addition to Gabe Kalsher, in addition to maybe even both Gotch.
4 or 5 starters are dealing with something right now. So I think the cumulative effect of that is not good. I know it's a short spread. I would not touch home Minnesota here. I just can't.
Yeah.
All right.
That's all I got.
All right, good. All right, we're all set on chat. Thank you, everybody, for coming by, hopping in the chat. Fairleigh Dickinson, I leaned them initially, but honestly, the line has come down quite a bit, so I'm not going to touch them. They've been eliminated from postseason play, so be careful with their motivation.
Mount St. Mary's extra board. Boom. That's my last ad in the NEC action.
Wow, just forcing one in there.
Official show play, Matt? Official show play?
I'm checking the line real quick. No, they're now to minus 1.5, -2. No. Okay, sorry. Scrap it.
So just a non sequitur.
Yes, completely irrelevant.